The first human in space was Yuri Gagarin in 1961, or so everyone was told. That's the official story anyway. The Soviets announced it to the world and the West accepted it. Gagarin became immortal, but walk through the declassified archives and you'll find something curious: whispers of earlier launches, rumors of cosmonauts who never came home, radio signals nobody was supposed to hear, and a cover-up so complete, so methodical, that it took decades before anyone could prove what really happened. For years, Western observers believed the Soviets had launched unmanned probes first, then animals, then finally Gagarin. A logical progression, a measured climb up the ladder. But there's a problem with that timeline. It doesn't match what the Kremlin was actually doing behind closed doors. The Soviets were in a race, not against time, against the Americans. And in a race, you don't wait for all the safety checks. You push, you launch, you accept the cost. This telegram right here, dated early 1961, shows the pressure coming from Moscow. Accelerate, accelerate, accelerate. Human lives were secondary to beating the West. Now the accepted narrative says this: the first manned Soviet launch was Gagarin on April 12, 1961. Flawless, perfect, a propaganda triumph. But what if there were launches before that? Launches that failed, launches that killed men, launches the Kremlin would never admit to. There's a name that surfaces in declassified files: Vladimir. He survived to fly again, but in 1967 his parachute failed on re-entry. Dead, but before Komarov there were others, names that don't appear in official Soviet records, cosmonauts erased from history. Italian radio operator Achille Lauro picked up something in 1961, a distress signal, a voice calling in Russian, speaking coordinates, speaking, it seemed, of a dying man in orbit. The frequency was right, the timing was right, but when Lauro reported it, nobody believed him. The Soviets denied everything. This is where the thesis breaks. We've been told one story, we've accepted the official timeline, but the evidence, scattered, fragmented, denied for decades, points somewhere else. The Soviets didn't announce all their launches, they announced the ones that worked. Consider the Vostok program's actual scope. The Soviets built multiple capsules, they ran multiple launches, but only some reached the public record. The ones that didn't, the ones that exploded, depressurized, or fell into the ocean, those were erased, not from physics, from history. Yuri Gagarin himself, in private conversations, hinted at it. He knew other men had been candidates. He knew the program was chaotic. He knew people had died in training. But publicly, Gagarin was the hero, the first, the only one who mattered. The real explanation isn't dramatic conspiracy, it's bureaucratic ruthlessness. The Soviet space program operated under a simple logic: announce success, bury failure. A dead cosmonaut was a security risk, a propaganda liability, a loose end. So he was removed from records, his family silenced, his existence denied. Take Vladimir Ivanovsky, take Grigory Nelyubov. These men trained for space, they disappeared from the program. Official records say they were removed for disciplinary reasons, but some researchers believe they died in failed launches, launches that were never announced, never logged, never existed. The evidence is thin, deliberately so. A radio signal here, a missing person there, a gap in the record. But when you lay them end to end, they form a pattern, not proof, not in a court of law, but pattern enough to shift the picture. What changed? Time. Glasnost. The Soviet Union fell, and with it some archives opened. Researchers began cross-referencing. NASA declassified its own Cold War monitoring files, and slowly the gaps became visible, not filled, visible. Most historians now accept a revised truth. There likely were Soviet launches before Gagarin that failed. Exactly how many, exactly who died, we may never know. The Kremlin was thorough, but the erasure itself is historical fact. This matters because it reframes how we understand the space race. It wasn't a clean competition between two superpowers. It was desperate, it was brutal, it was willing to sacrifice its own people to win a propaganda victory. Gagarin in the end became the symbol of that ruthlessness. Not because he was ruthless, he was a decent man by all accounts, but because he was the one whose success could be announced, the one whose name could be celebrated, while others, whose names we'll never know, died in silence. The official story isn't false. Gagarin did fly first publicly, first successfully, first announced to the world, but it's incomplete. It's the story the Kremlin wanted told. The real story is darker, messier, and far more human. Men died so that one man could be remembered. We may never recover those names. The archives are incomplete, the witnesses are gone, and the Soviet system destroyed evidence as policy. But knowing the erasure happened, knowing that the official story concealed a cost, that changes what Gagarin's achievement means. It makes it real. Subscribe. Each week, we uncover the Cold War stories they tried to keep buried.